So today I'll be showing you how to make a single spread in InDesign using rectangle frame tool, type tool, text wrap tool, and the paragraph and character style sheeting along with the master pages. So to get started, we're going to go to File, we're going to go to New, Document. Now we're going to set up our pages. If your units aren't inches, we can go ahead and change that to inches. And now since we're doing a spread, which is two 8.5 by 11s put together, we're going to leave our width at 8.5, our height at 11. Number of pages, we're going to do 3, and you'll see in a second. We're going to start at page 1, meaning the number counting, and then we're going to change the column grid to 4. Make sure your margins are at 0.5, which is the standard for an 8.5 by 11. And for the bleeds, make sure your bleeds are at 0.25. And we go ahead and press create. And now we see the layout. So normally you have the bleeds here, which are red, but I guess in an InDesign update, they changed them to blue, or this green teal, technically. You have the purple, which is the margin. So no text in terms of the body copy headers go outside of this. So yeah, the page numbers and the folio that would go outside the margins here. So we're going to scroll down to our first page. So this is our first spread. First we want to do is we want to set up the folio and set up the page number. So I'm going to double click on my A master selection. If this is not up, I recommend you go to Window, go down to Workspace, and you can reset Essentials to get back to the standard view. And we're going to open up the page panel and go to A master. So double click on that and you'll see it change, so that's only just these 2 pages on the document. Now we're going to take our type tool and we're going to zoom in at the bottom and we're going to drag out a text box and we're going to go to type. We're going to go to insert special character, symbols, markers, current page number. And it's going to show up as A because we're on the A master. But when we get to the actual document, it's going to go back to the page number. So I'm going to set this at 10 and put this down closer to the bottom. And then I'm going to hold the Alt key and drag it over to the other page so that was cloning it over. And I'm going to justify it. I'm going to justify rag right or line right. Delete the extra one. Also going to drag out another text box to be in the center of the 2 columns at the bottom of the page. We're going to call this InDesign Text. And again, make my point size smaller because usually the folios are dramatically smaller. And then we'll align it to the center and do the same thing. Alt, copy it over. And we're going to call this Toys R Us. So now jumping back to main page, double click on it and you'll jump back to the main. As you can see, the page numbers changed from A to the number 2 and 3. So firstly, you want to set up our rectangle frame tool. So I'm going to click on my rectangle frame tool, which is the rectangle with the X in it. I'm going to drag outside at the top of the bleed and go over all the way to just the center fold. So the center of the magazine and about halfway down. So when you have an image going to the edge of the page, meaning the image going to the black line here, which is the edge of the page, it has to go all the way to the bleeds. And that's because if the paper shifts in the printer, you're going to want to have the information still there so the printer actually prints something, not just print a white line. So we're going to go to File, we're going to go to Place, and we're going to click on our first image. So I'm double click on image and it's going to open it up. It's loaded now on the cursor. So I'm going to just click on that and it automatically plops it in. Now, I want this image to be, so this image is dramatically larger than the actual box. So that's okay. We're going to go right click, fitting, fill frame proportionately, and it's going to scale in the image even though some of the image is still off, but it fitted the frame, it fit the image in the frame the best it could. Alternatively, if we right click, go to fitting, fit content portion, it's going to fit all the content in, but it's not going to fill the frame. So we want to always fill the frame. So fitting, fill frame proportionately. So now we have a first image. So now we're going to go with our text. So click on the type tool or T. We're going to drag out a text box here. This is going to be for the title. So I'm going to go to my document. I'm going to grab my text, Toys R Us, bankruptcy auction canceled, Control or Command C for Mac, Control V to paste. So now we have our title here. We're going to make this title dramatically larger. So I'm going to change my font to, and then I'm going to change my font size to about 48. I'm going to make my text box a little bigger. And then I'm going to highlight it and press Control and press the Alt key, which allows us to decrease the leading, meaning the space between the lines, smaller. So now with that, we're going to drag out another text box and we're going to go get our body copy. So go back to our document. We're going to grab this body copy, Control C, Control V. So now we have our body copy in there, but we want to break up the text into two separate columns, but using the same text box. So I'm going to right click or Control left click for Mac, text frame options. I'm going to number columns 2 and turn on preview to view it, and then hit OK. So I'm going to do some quick copy editing by just adding some spaces where it needs to be. So now I want to turn off my hyphenate, so I'm going to jump to my paragraph. So with all the text highlighted, Command A or Control A, if you're on a PC, go at the very top. This changes based upon the tool you're on. So click on the paragraph styling tool, uncheck hyphenate, and I'm going to justify with last line aligned left. I'm going to nudge this down a little bit more. So now, as you can see at the bottom, there's a little red box with a plus sign in. That means that there's more text in the text box than the text box can fit. So we want to click on that red dot, and I'm going to drag out a new text box, but I'm going to only use the first 2 columns. And that's not a lot of text, so I can see if I can actually make this smaller. So I'm going to click on this, click on the image, make my image plane slightly smaller, bring up my title, and I'm going to bring up my text box so that all the text fits within this first column. Let me bring this back down a little bit, and I can delete this since we really didn't need it. Now when it comes to body copy editing, when you are a designer, you oftentimes do a bit of copy editing because, for example, like this hang end of the hang sentence here, I would just make the text a little smaller to fit it in, and then delete that one space so that it all fits perfectly in, and we can just adjust the title afterwards. So now they have the first section of the first half of the spread done. I want to actually set my paragraph style. So paragraph styles or character styles also. Go to styles and go to character styles, and these two should open up together. So the character styles controls the characters, meaning the font and font size. So for example, the title, I want all my titles to be this font and this size. So instead of me doing that manually each time, I can click on the text box. Don't go into text box, but click on the text box and click on new style and double click on it, and we're going to call this the title style, title-style, and hit OK. I'm going to do the same thing for the body copy. I want my body copy to be in this font and this size, so click on that. Make a new style, double click on it, call this main body -style, and hit OK. So when I go here, actually I want to make this image larger because this is a pretty massive image, considering that it's about Toys R Us. So I want to extend my image so that it is full screen going across and into the second page. So next up, I want to click on my rectangle frame tool again because I want to add another image. I'm going to click and drag out my rectangle frame toolbox. But this time I want to do 2 at a time. So I'm going to drag this one out here, and I'm going to drag this one here also. So I'm going to go to File, go to Place, and I'm going to load up 2 images. I'm going to click on this one and click on this one, holding Control, and then hit Enter. So now 2 images, you can see the number 2. So 2 images are loaded up on my cursor. So I'm going to click on it, and click on it to drop it. So the same thing, right click, fitting, fill frame proportionally. Right click on here. Now this image is long, so I'm gonna right click and fitting frame proportionally. But I want to also hit A. So A allows us to maneuver the image within the frame, because I really just want the mascot with the luggage. So I'm going to drag this out so that I'm going to put my next second article in the history of Toys R Us in this section here. So I'm going to drag out my text box. I'm going to go back to my title, go back, grab this second one, the history of Toys R Us. But I remember I want it to be the same title, so I want to click on title style. And I'm going to go back and also grab this sub. So Control C, Control V. But now, so as you're doing your design, you're going to be building your character style. So for example, I don't want this to be the same as the body cap because this is a subhead. But I also don't want it to be the same size of the actual title. So I'm going to make this a little bigger. Say 16 points. And I want to make it bold. So I'm going to go and choose bold. And I want to change the type. I want to make it all caps. So go to type, change case, uppercase. And do the same thing. I want to uncheck hyphenate. So same thing, we'll go for here. I want to click on this. I want to go here. I want to go to add a new character style. I'm going to call this one subhead dash style. So that all my subheads I can simply click on, and now this is going to be the subhead for them. But since the spacing is a little cramped down here, I'm going to actually move this up over here. And then I'm going to click on my body copy, my text tool, and drag out a new text box for my body copy. So I'm going to go to back to my article. I'm going to grab this short paragraph here. So now the text is going over the image, and we do not want that. So once you get here, we're going to go to our window. We're going to go to text wrap, which is down here. And I'm going to click on bounding box. So it's going to wrap around the text. I'm going to just do some minor copy editing, add some spaces where spaces are needed. But also with the text wrap, I want the text wrap to be the same thickness of the gutter. So I'm going to click on my gutter and make this slightly larger. So it wrap around so that the text wraps around it without it being too close to the image. Because really you never want any text or images to be butted up right against you. You always want to have some kind of gutter space. So with this, actually, I'm going to make this a little large. I'm going to make this a bleed. And then I'm going to hit A, and I can, again, edit the size of it. So I'll make it a little slightly larger. Bring the giraffe back over. So he's bleeding off the page. And then the same thing goes for this image. So there's extra space here with the gutter. So I don't need this bleed to be so big. So I'm going to do this. Make it slightly larger, fitting frame. And then technically this all fits in here. So as you can see, the text even goes a little bit underneath. So we have a little bit of text here, which is just a line. So that means I may just need to edit this copy. So also my paragraph styles weren't set up. So I'm going to also do this, make it a justified. So in the paragraph styles, you click on it, and then you can go paragraph style 1, double click on it. We're going to call this main body P style for paragraph style. So that's going to match up with this paragraph style. And also uncheck hyphenate. Come on. So when you add something, After Effects is going to add a little plus, and that means that something was added to it. I'm going to make this image larger. I'm click on this image and make this image larger. So fitting fill frame proportionately. And then we're going to just, again, maneuver it so it fits in the spacing. So that now if we turn this off, close all these up, we have the spread with the page numbers, folio active, and the design.